This is how you clear the chips out of the machine, right? No. So in this episode, I'm going to be cleaning underneath the weight covers on my machine. And then I got a lot of feedback from viewers saying that using compressed air to clean the chips out of the machine is a bad idea, because that's what's causing the chips to get underneath the weight covers, and that's what caused the chips to get on the end stop. And so what I should really be using is coolant pump with a washdown hose instead of the air compressor. So first I'm going to clear the chips out, and then I'm going to see what's involved in setting up a washdown hose. So I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to try to take this off completely. There are some nuts back there, and it's a really tight squeeze in here, so I'm not sure I can film while I'm doing that, but I'll see what I can do. That should free up the front, which it does. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to take these to the bench, clean them off, and then inspect the rubber seals to see how they are. In the meantime, what I want to do is clean up in here. So I got this putty knife that will allow me to get all this grease off. I checked with the HFO, and they said it's fine to remove all this grease in there because the machine will just pump grease back in. Okay, I'm going to keep at this and bring it back after I've worked on it for a while. The next thing I'm going to try to do, and it's really hard to get in here, actually I think I'll take out the tool here so I don't hit my head on it. That would not be good. So I'm going to try to take out some screws that I see back here and see if I can get the other weight covers off. Okay, that's of course a different screw. But this works. Oh, that's very tight. I got all the screws on the back off, but it doesn't seem to move. I also removed the screws from the front, so now I can roll it back this way. And you can see it's pretty messy in here as well, so I've got a lot of cleaning to do there. And then I'm going to take off those two screws and see if what I can do with the Z-way cover. I did get these two screws off, and so that means I can now open this, and you can see that's quite dirty as well. So I definitely have a lot of cleaning to do here too. And then I want to see if I can understand how to get the rest of this off. Maybe I can just, yeah. Okay. That doesn't seem to go up very far. Okay, I'm going to look for some more screws to see how much of that I can take off. Okay, I'm going to start by cleaning in here. It's a pretty tight space, but I'll start with the pretty obvious stuff. And then clean as much of this out as I can. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, I have something that should work better. There we go. I can put it in like so and work on each side. And if that does fall, it's not going to make a lot of noise, and it won't hurt me either. After quite a bit of work, you can see it's a lot cleaner. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough? It's just about there. I need to get a few more chips off here and there, and then I'll be ready to close this back up and start working on the y-axis again. And then I need to work on the x-axis after that. So I was working on pulling the lower part of the wake cover down, and I still had the screws off from up there. And as you can see, it just fell down. So I think it was just stuck from oil or grease and other things up there. So now I have some more cleaning to do. After a lot of scrubbing, you can see that it's much cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in on the z-axis, and then I'll start working again on the y-axis. I've cleaned this up pretty well. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. So I'm going to put the wake cover back on. As you can see, I have chips that fly everywhere because I've been using the pressurized air to clear the chips out, and then they fly everywhere, including under the wake covers and down to here. I also got feedback that I should not be using compressed air to clear the chips out of my machine, and instead I should be using a washdown hose. So I decided to see what would be involved in adding a washdown hose to this machine. So I looked in the back and I found the hose that was coming out of the pump and going up, which was totally expected. And then when I looked farther up, as you can see here, there's another hose coming down. And as you can see here, there's a T, which means there's already something. I don't have to create a T to get a washdown. And then I noticed this hose, which looked like it might be a washdown hose. So having a washdown hose would certainly be a huge improvement. And after looking in the back, I realized that, okay, there's a tube. I looked in the front here, and lo and behold, it's a coil tube that has a cap on the end. So what I need to do is find the right fittings. This, I'm guessing, is probably an NPT. And then once I find the right fittings, I can hook up an extension and then be able to run this underneath instead of out the front, because the door won't close when it's in this position. And then I'll have a washdown hose, which will make it so much nicer and should keep the area underneath the wake covers a lot cleaner, keep me a lot cleaner, keep my floor a lot cleaner. So I'm going to order the parts and then put it together once I get the parts. First I needed to take the end cap off of this hose, and I did some measurements and determined this was 1/4 inch NPT. So I ordered some fittings. I started by putting on some Teflon tape to try to reduce the chance that this would leak. Please let me know if Teflon tape is not a good idea to use with coolant, because this is easy enough to change if that's the case. Next up is the 1/4 inch NPT to GHT adapter. I believe GHT is the acronym that's used for garden hoses. I am using an extension hose that is designed for washing machines. And so it's the same fitting as a garden hose. The extension hose that I bought was a 4-foot extension hose, because this hose that you see here is not quite long enough to make it underneath the machine and up to where I want to be able to wash things off. And adding Teflon tape to the GHT connector, I'm certainly not an expert at this. I'm not sure what it means to be an expert on this, but you know, this works. And with a little bit of fiddling, eventually I get a few layers on, and that should keep it from leaking. At least I hope so. I want to make sure these don't leak, so I'm using a pair of vice grips with a gentle grip, and I'm not tightening them crazy tight, but I just want to make sure that they don't leak. I need this adapter to be able to connect the spray head to the end of the flexible cable. So again, I'm putting a little bit of nylon tape on both sides of this, and then I'll put the nozzle on. Alright, I'm going to turn on the coolant pump. This is still open, so we should see some coolant come out there. But the important thing is there's nothing leaking here and here. And if I push, you can see I have coolant coming out. Now if I turn this one off, I should get more pressure. And yep, that works nicely. So I ran the hose underneath the machine. So now it comes to the front. And with this extension, it's more than long enough. Without the extension, it just wouldn't have been long enough. So I'm really glad I got an extension. I only got a 4-foot extension, which is more than enough. So I definitely don't need a longer one. I don't really have a place to hang it right now. I can hang it on the door handle. What I want to do is create a 3D printed holder with some magnets on it, probably put it here or somewhere down here, so it's a little bit more out of the way. And while I'm doing it, I'll probably have a better place to put the air hose right now than I have right now, which is just sitting right here on the edge of the holder for the gloves that I use when I'm working on the machine sometimes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, comment below, and I'll see you next time.